Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Grapplers Academy. We're back, and today you can see that I'm actually able to sit on the floor, which means that I've been able to roll over the past couple of weeks, and me and Si got the opportunity to roll again recently. It was a good experience. I was on the receiving end of a good smash, which was great. I've not had that for a while. Lots of top pressure. So Si's going to take today to show us an example of how to pass the half guard.
Don't discredit that top pressure you've got. I think my ribs are still on the mat from that knee on that way.
The only reason that happened though was because he let me get in that position. So he won't be doing that again next time.
So it's, we're going to look at one of the passes that was used during the rolling, sort of look at a few of the small details on it. So past that, I commonly get attempted on me, but also I like to play from half guard. I call it just crowbar in the leg from reverse half guard.
People can get mad at us in the comments. I'm sure it's already named after somebody.
Oh yeah, I'll have some either named after some fighter, or there'll be some like peculiar Japanese name for it that means flying bird or something.
It's definitely not the hippo platter.
No, which doesn't involve hippos, which really threw me off. It's actually the hip platter.
Do you think Galval thought about that before he... Anyway, we're getting off topic. Let's go into the, let's have a look at the crowbar pass.
Yeah, the crowbar pass. So, short for a couple of angles, but starting off from this sort of half guard, and I want to sort of get to this reverse position now. What you can't see on the camera just yet is the Bond's got an angle at his hip, so I should just turn and face off you. So I'm trying to get my knee into this space here. I'm not trying to go underneath the leg, I'm not trying to go underneath, I want my knee being actually inside the hip. I'm trying to almost create an anchor point there, whilst my leg is going to be inside this leg, and my hips are going to land up here. So the movement I'm going to do isn't this scooping motion where my leg goes underneath, it's a pivot where my knee goes forward into the hip, and I'm going to sit sideways so my knee, once it hits into the hip, doesn't actually move. So, once I'm here, I'm going to place my knee into the hip before I sit, and with this elbow, rather than going over the top of the arm, I like to feed over the hip and secure the hips more than anything here. I don't want to battle this, because all it's going to do is start to create frames, create a lot of space, and just give me a lot of issues while I'm passing. So I'm going to pass my elbow across the waistline, turn, and I get to here, and I'm dragging this leg with me. You'll also notice that as you do go underneath the elbow, you can then start to take a nice strong underhook, and I'm using my elbow and lats to really secure this torso. Now, with this point, it can be pretty difficult to open the legs because they're in a good strong position for the legs, and the more I pull, the tighter we can clamp. But when we start using sort of opposing forces here, we can actually really start to prise and put pressure on the ankles where we're trying to open up, rather than actually fighting these hips. So with my knees, I'm clamping them together to secure the bottom thigh. My arm is going to go underneath the knee, so I'm not trying to go through the top of the thigh, I'm trying to go under the knee so I can get as much leverage as possible, and I'm trying to get my hand to wrap over the hip, keep my elbow attached to his knee joint. So now from here, I'm going to almost extend my leg that's caught underneath here as I'm flaring this up. Now, sometimes if they've got strong legs, it may take a little bit of time to actually open it up, but eventually, when we get it open, we're going to be able to backstep out of this quite easily. So, clamping onto the hip, flaring my elbow, and almost kind of like straightening this leg, whilst keeping a good posture and frame to stop him from trying to come up underneath me or attacking from here. I'm going to flare and open up. Now, once we get to this point, we're not just going to sort of pull our leg out, because he can quite easily catch our legs with this bottom leg as soon as we release this pressure. So I'm going to be lifting vertically and stomping backwards. Now, to finish the pass, I'm keeping this arm inside, because I'm going to use this to steer his hips over. I don't just want to sort of let go here and try and secure top position. So once I've freed my leg, I'm going to steer the legs over. My knee that was in the hip is going to go underneath the armpit on this near side, and this knee is going to replace this hip wedge. So I'm here, sending, bring the knee take top side control, and we can secure the pin. So let's go through it one more time. We'll do it at a different angle, so we'll face this way, so you can see where the knee goes. So again, we're starting here. Knee goes in, elbow goes over at the same time, and I'm going to pivot on this knee so my hips go down to the mat. To here. You can see I'm pulling this leg with me as well, so I'm trying to keep his hips in a position where it's hard for him to extend. If my knee's underneath his thigh, you can use his hips a lot more freely and start to extend and pull me back in and start causing all the mischief. If I'm here with the hips, starts trying to extend his hips, I've just put a blocker in front of it. For those Musumeci fans in the SIS, I'm going to go underneath the knee, latch onto the hip, straightening this bottom leg slightly as I'm keeping this pressure between my knees, and flaring the elbow to here. Back step, send the hip over, bring the knee, and take top side control there.
The other thing that's going on there as well as all the stuff from my hips down is you've got loads of top pressure on top of my rib cage, so like lats are in full contact across my ribs, and your hips are basically stopping me from creating any sort of frame with my elbow. So it's really difficult to frame out and start bridging anyway, even if I could move my hips, which I can't because that knee's in the way.
Yeah, it's a common thing that I see when a lot of people go for this pass. They allow that knee that should be pinning the hips to go underneath the thigh, which then gives the bottom player a lot more freedom to move, where they can start to reverse the position, get back to a more traditional half guard, or even start playing other kinds of games from there.
So from a top position, when people are doing it on you, the most common mistakes are not creating enough wedge and not keeping enough top pressure. So there you go, the two things to make that move more successful.
Clamping the elbow as well. Like there are a few traps you can set where you can loosen the elbow, take the wrist and start attacking the Kimura, but I don't tend to play that against bigger players because their arms tend to be a lot stronger than I can manipulate with the angle that I've got.
Yeah, nice, lots of pressure on that one, and it's fairly low energy effort for you
really
as well.
Low effort. Quite high percentage as well once you get the wedges and everything in the right place.
Maximum efficiency, lazy jiu-jitsu.
There we go, the best way there is.
All done?
Yep, all done.
I think this is going to be one of the videos that we're going to put up. If you're still listening at this point in the video, congratulations firstly, well done. You can leave a comment in the comments and let us know that you're still here. But this,
as I say, make sure you put a like button and an armbar, don't let go when it taps.
But I think we're going to be showing this as an example of some passing in some of the live footage that we've got from us rolling. We're going to be posting that up as well. We're going to be putting some commentary over the top of it. As well for you guys, so you can see it in real life practice as well, from just seeing it in demonstration and seeing it actually works. These aren't Steven Seagal techniques.
No, Steven Seagal is like up here.
There's actually been a couple of videos recently, like guys have got to train with him over the past couple of weeks, haven't they?
Have they?
Yeah. And I don't know, like obviously they must have been Aikido guys, or they wouldn't have accepted him anyway, or they've just paid him a shit ton of money. Was the hope that they'll get the return back on the YouTube videos.
Oh, 100%. I mean, thing as well, like I was listening to, I can't remember what comedian it was, but they pointed out that since he works as a police officer, if you actually cause any trouble, like you could just be in a bar getting drunk and getting a bit sort of leery in a random bar in the city that he works in, you could actually be arrested by Steven Seagal.
That'd be mega, wouldn't it? Would you rather get arrested by Steven Seagal or Ronnie Coleman? You can leave that one in the comments.
I don't think Ronnie Coleman will be catching anybody.
He's a police officer though, he was a police officer. Yeah. And just on one other weird side note as well, just on the kind of topic of movie stars, Eddie Hall is going to be at the Expendables 4.
I mean, I'd want to see that.
He fits the part in terms of
just don't give him any talking lines. Make him odd job, just no lines, just goes in, does the action, and
I mean, in terms of action movies, Expendables are like right up there for me. It is pure 90s cheese.
Like anybody who complains about it, they're watching it for a deep story. Like
I went to the cinema when the first or second one came out with a group of mates. It was like 15 of us, and the guy who I was sat next to looked like he had a slapped face all the way through it. Came out and went, well, we'll never get that hour and 50 minutes of my life back. It's like, are you fucking nuts? That was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Just so you just disconnect from reality and just watch the explosions.
Maybe we should do a
fight breakdown from Expendables.
If you're still listening, comment that if you want to see that as well. But otherwise, coach by side, Bonafide PT. We'll see you on the Grapplers Academy next week.